easy out of my head.
All the lonely people, where do they all come from? All right, everybody, I'm Scotty J. You are watching Rock Titan Live. I won't torture you with my voice anymore. But I had to sing that little Beatles piece that you all recognize from Eleanor Rigby, no doubt, because the guest we have with us today may never have picked up a bass and become a musician if it weren't for Sir Paul McCartney. This man recently put out a book of his memoirs that was co-written by someone that we've also had on Rock Titan before, Chris Epting. He's written a number of books, including that by Phil Collen in Def Leppard and John Oates from Hall & Oates. But we have got just a marvelous human being. And when you read his book, Son of a Milkman, you will come to the same conclusion I have. But without a doubt, if you're a child of the 80s like I am, you definitely grew up loving his music because this band was huge. Multiple platinum albums. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got the founding member of Tesla and the bass player, Brian Wheat. Brian, how are you, sir?
Hey, man, how you doing?
What do you think of my singing chops?
Don't quit your podcast.
Yeah, I know. I can't hold a candle to Jeff, but, you know, who can? Who can?
No, I can't. I can't.
You know? Oh, man. How are you, though, sir?
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. So, like, we were talking a little bit off the record. I mean, we have so many things to cover and not enough time to do it. I kind of feel like Willy Wonka, you know? Too much, or so much to do, so little time. Scratch that. Reverse it. You know? But, so, I mean, everyone knows you from, you know, being a musician with Tesla. Now you've got this book out. You're a painter, you know, also that you covered in your book. You got your paintings with Wentworth Art Gallery, and we featured a number of their artists, one of which, you know, Def Leppard, who is, you know, someone who's very close to you. I know you're close with all those guys. And Rick Allen, he does his painting with Wentworth. But I guess let's just kick things off with this book. Very revealing. I mean, you were fully transparent, hard on your sleeve. You start out really from the time you were born, basically, and the kind of unique nature of how you came into the world. Literally, the son of a milkman.
That's true. My dad was the milkman. And, you know, he hooked up with my mom, and he'd come over and, you know, while he'd be dropping off the cream, my brothers would be out in his truck stealing all his ice cream and all that shit. And, you know, he got my mom pregnant, and then he blew the coop.
That's wild.
Out came this kid, Brian, who wasn't a Wheat,
right?
You know, because that's not really my name.
Right.
In a time in society where being an illegitimate kid or having an illegitimate kid, my poor mother, was frowned upon by society. And she didn't know what to do. She contemplated adopting me out, which she had me up there for about 3 or 4 days. And she couldn't go through with it. So she got me and said, no, you know, I'll endure this. And, you know, that's why I dedicate the book to her, because she was the strongest woman I ever knew. Yeah,
no, I thought that was very beautiful that you did that. I mean, you had a lot of really cool stories, man. She was a tough cookie, but then you had a grandmother, I guess, was, you know, where, you know, obviously the apple didn't fall really far from the tree or something like that, from what I remember.
Well, my grandmother was from Italy.
Right.
And she didn't speak English.
Right.
She came over in, you know, 1904 or 5,
wow.
You know, through Ellis Island.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, got a job and raised a family in America and didn't speak English or read or write.
Right. Now,
so
I saw
she was a pretty intense woman. I was scared of her. Well, because, you know, she was this little Italian woman who, if you went to her house, you know, you had to go to bed at 6 o'clock in the evening. And,
right.
You know, I was a little kid, 4, 5, 6 years old. She died when I was 9. So it was interesting. So my mom had a tough life. And I think, you have this lineage, and at a certain point, you've got to break that chain, right?
Yeah.
So if her mom had a tough life, pass it on to her daughter. My mom had a tough life, pass it on to me. I had to break the chain, either by not having kids, which I chose not to,
Right.
or seeking, therapy and stuff. And when I started to develop these anxiety issues, when I sat down with this Dr. Hirschkopf, who was my therapist for many years, it all stems from your childhood, and then it just goes. It's these habits that we just repeat, right? When people say, well, you're just like your dad, it's because he handed you those traits. And so I was lucky enough to break that chain. And in the book, I talk about it very candidly, because I felt that if I was going to put out a book and I was going to address any of these issues, I might as well address all of them, not just one of them. And I might as well be as transparent as I could, because why is the point of trying to make myself look great, because some of these things are very glamorous to talk about. They're
Sure.
kind of taboo. They're kind of taboo,
Well, I'm glad you said that.
I did it,
Yeah. Yeah. No, you did. And you did it with a lot of honor and integrity. I really love how you put it out there. And I mean, you talk about your whole life, really just as a matter of fact. It wasn't really trying to make excuses for anything. It wasn't trying to justify anything. It wasn't trying to glorify everything. It was just, this is me,
Yeah, I'm not looking for justification or sympathy either.
Right. Yeah,
It's like, look, this is the story. Here it is. You want to, if it interests you, dig it. If it doesn't, don't read it. Throw it in the bin.
Right.
But this is it, warts and all. This is how it went down, and hopefully it helps some people. That's really what I was hoping.
Well, and I think you will, Brian. And I think that's one of the really cool things about it, because like you said, behavioral health and mental health, it gets so much more attention today than it ever did, like, say, 15, 20 years ago. I would say probably maybe in the last 10 years, it's something that really started getting attention. And like you said, before that, it was so taboo. It was like a sign of weakness, or there was something wrong with you. And
and those are all the things that people would say, you don't be a weakling, or, put on your big boy pants, or there's nothing wrong with you. It's all in your head. Well, fuck yeah, it's in my head. And if you were in my head, you know what the fuck was in my head. But you're not. So it's easy for you to tell me just shake it off, but unless you experience it, you can't understand it.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to be honest about it. And like I said, if somebody in Tupelo, Mississippi reads the book, that is a Tesla fan or whatever, and is going through the same things that I've gone through, and goes, oh my God, Brian goes through the same thing. I'm not abnormal. I'm not some freak. And it helps that person, then I'm happy to do it.
Right. Right on. Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. And I mean, again, you came from, rather a tumultuous upbringing. It was kind of crazy. You had a number of siblings running around. You had some older brothers.
I had 6 kids with one mom and no dad.
Yeah, and your brothers are always getting into trouble.
They were just... They were rascals.
Yeah. Everybody, you gotta read The Son of a Milkman, My Crazy Life with Tesla by Brian Wheat. Everybody, you gotta go check it out. It really is wild. But it's just one of those things where, you have a crazy family. Who doesn't, right? We all have crazy families.
Well, that's what I was telling somebody earlier today. I was doing another interview, and I said, look, they said, how did you deal with it? I said, to me, it was just normal.
Right.
Most of the kids in my fucking neighborhood were growing up the same way I was.
Right.
Because I grew up I didn't grow up in the nicest part of town or whatever. So there was a lot of dysfunctional families that I went to school with and stuff. So to me, it seemed kind of normal. in the beginning, and then as I got older, that's when kids, like at school, you actually started to see separation of class and stuff, just like racism.
Sure.
When you're a kid, you don't see color.
Right. You don't?
You're in kindergarten, first, second, third grade, you don't see color. And then as you get older, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, people start, saying this about this person, or what if you're not the same color or the same religion. And as you get older, then you start to see. And that's when I think those early 10 to 15, 16, that year, that's where a lot of damage is done
right.
to kids, I think, by other kids at school. You know, whether it's the clothes you wear, or, you don't have money for lunch, so you have a ticket that, you're getting a free lunch program. They make fun of you of that. Or you go to the store and you have food stamps, and they'll make fun of you at that. And all of a sudden the whole fucking school's making fun of you. And I endured all that shit. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Me too.
And I'm okay with it. It was tough at the time.
Right.
And I think when I look at myself today and my psychic today, and I sit there and I go, why do I have 5 houses today? Because I lived in the smallest house when I was a kid.
Right.
And I was made fun of. Right. Why do I buy all this shit at the grocery store? Because we didn't have it.
Right.
Right. And then I can see my psyche and go, well, this is why I'm this way. Doesn't make it right. And I should break some of those habits. But it stems from the shit that you get when you're a kid. And then I equate that to today being social media, because now social media, people bully you on social media.
It's terrible.
If you're not of the same political race as they are, or whatever the case may be, you're a fucking, it just never ends.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the moral of the story is you put your shoulder into the wind and you keep going, and you don't stop and you don't give up. I took all these negative things, and I channeled them into drive, right? I said, I'm going to take these things and I'm going to make them, and I'll show all these fucking people one day, right? And I did. And that's what it made me do.
Right on.
And Frank Hannon's the same way. We both can't sit still. We feel like we always got to be doing something, because if we're sitting still, it's like we always have something to prove.
Right.
On one hand, that's a great thing. On another hand, sometimes it's not. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I can see where.
Tried
Yeah.
to be as honest about it as I could. Period. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
Here you go. I mean, sure, there's the sex, drugs, and rock and roll in the book. A little bit of that. And people say, "Oh, I didn't know you guys had drug problems or you had sex." Well, we were never in any magazines because we weren't an image band.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we weren't on MTV all the time, or we weren't, in the rock magazines or whatever. So that's why people didn't know. So I talked about it. It's like, look, we were no choir boys.
Right.
We liked our drugs and alcohol and women just like anyone else. We just never got really talked about it because we weren't in the press. And I didn't really want to talk that much about it in the book anyways, because I didn't think it was that big a part of the story, outside of the fact that we had experienced those things and that we weren't some goody, choir boys.
Right. Yeah. No, you kept it all in perspective. I mean, I really like the way you and Epting laid it out. I mean, it was. I thought it was presented very, very well. It was all in its place. I mean, you had it where it was relevant, where it made sense. You didn't say it just to say it. It was all in perspective. But, all that being said, because of all the things that you had gone through growing up, I guess you just kind of touched on, was that like a major motivator for you being the success that you were, like, it's one thing to become a musician and to, you know, channel all these things into your music and when art that you love that is a huge part of who you are. But would you say that all those experiences, it took it a step further for you, that it wasn't just enough to have that artistic release? You were going to do it and you were going to go all the way with it. Was it your mission, your sole objective to be the big success that you became?
My mission was always to succeed.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I don't like to lose.
Right on.
Okay. Anything I do, I want to win. If we're playing chess, I want to win. If I'm making a record, I want it to be the greatest record I can make. You know, if I'm writing a book, I want it to be the most honest book. You know what I mean? But that's human. I think that's, you know, I mean, anything worth doing is worth doing, not doing half-ass. So sometimes I've been criticized for it.
Okay.
You know, that,
right.
You know, I need to sometimes back off.
Right on.
Hang on. I'm going to take you with me because someone's at my door.
All right, that's cool.
We'll walk down the halls of my studio and I'll let these guys in.
All right, that's cool.
So here we go. There you get to see the studio back there.
Look at that, man. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Hey, you want to see a cool picture, dude?
Yeah, man. Oh my God. That's awesome.
A cooler one?
I would lose my mind, man.
What about that one?
I would lose my mind. I can only see it from the knee down.
Oh, it was a picture of me and Jimmy Page as well.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's awesome that you got to hang with all those guys. That's pretty.
Sorry, guys, I was in the middle of an interview. I still am. Come on in.
Who we got there?
Yeah, can you see that? Hang on, let me see if I can get that to where you can see it. How do I flip the screen, or do you not be able to? I don't think you can. Huh?
Oh, you just did. Yeah, you just did. It looked like you did.
Flip it?
It looked like you flipped it on my end. Oh no. Oh, okay. To go the other way with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see that picture?
There's the lights shining on the frame.
Oh yeah.
There's the glare from the light. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But now you got some amazing stories. I mean, everyone that you've had the opportunity to meet as a result of your music career, it's pretty amazing. The guys that you've played with, toured with. You know, I mean, Sir Paul McCartney. I don't think there's any more rock and roll royalty than that. That's pretty amazing. But you know, getting back to your book, I thought it was pretty cool that Joe Elliott from Def Leppard wrote the foreword. Def Leppard's near and dear to my heart. I mean, they're one of my favorite bands of all time. I was so proud of them when they finally got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And you know, I know we've had everyone that watches Rock Titan Live. We've had Rick Allen on here a number of times. We've had his lovely wife on here as well, who's a pretty solid musician herself. But what made you choose Joe? I mean, obviously Def Leppard is a huge part of your life and your career.
Well, Joe is kind of like my big brother.
Yeah.
You know, we bonded when we got to America on the Hysteria tour, me and him. We bonded over Paul McCartney and Wings.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And, you know, we just always stayed connected. And, you know, he's just one of those guys that, you know, at all the guys in another rock band, he's one of my best friends. You know, I have two guys that are in rock bands that I'm really close with, and that's Joe, and then my friendship with Jimmy Page is, you know, but outside of that, I don't really I don't have friends in rock bands that I, you know, call up or, you know, I mean, Phil Collin I have a really good relationship with because we worked a lot together in the last few years.
Yeah.
But as a rule, I don't hang out with the other guys in rock bands.
Really? Okay. That's a rule you have, huh?
No, you think that we all do, but we don't.
Okay.
Yeah, my friends, my circle of friends are, you know, all over the world, different walks of life.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, but so that's why Joe, and I just thought, well, if someone's going to write a foreword, Joe's known me since I started, and he kind of has been a mentor.
Right.
I thought, well, I'll ask him. I didn't know if he would do it or not
Okay.
because he's like, well, let me read your book first. And I said, okay. And then he went, how many words? And then, he wrote this big long thing. He did it great. So I love Joe Elliott. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he seemed nice. I mean, I only met him in
He's
passing.
the same Joe Elliott today that he was when I met him in 1987.
Wow. That's cool.
He's the same exact guy.
That is very, very cool. And I mean, it seemed to me that pretty much it's like a culture in the band that is Def Leppard, because Phil Collins certainly seems that way. Rick Allen is definitely that way. But I thought it was neat, just how you have different relationships with all those guys. Like with Phil, I know that he had toured, as a touring guitarist with Tesla at one point. And then Shock, the album that you put out with Tesla back in 2019, he co-wrote and produced, which I love. Everybody, I mean, if you love the stuff back, in the day, you got to go check out the more recent stuff, in the 21st century that Tesla's put out there, because Shock is really, really good, man. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, I really liked it. Unfortunately, a lot of the hardcore fans criticized it
Really?
pretty hard, but yeah, they said it sounded too much like Def Leppard, and I'm just saying, as soon as Jeff sings, it don't sound like Def Leppard at all.
Well, I thought it sounded like Tesla. I mean,
some people like to bitch. So, what do you do? I enjoyed the record a lot. I think Phil did an excellent job.
Yeah, are you guys going to do anything for 2021? Maybe, or are you thinking of doing any more, or no?
No. First thing we'll do is play some shows again.
Okay.
And then we'll discuss making another album.
Okay.
But we haven't been able to work on any music being apart, and we're not the kind of band that can make a record and be in 5 different places. We have to be together to make a record.
Sure. Yeah, and obviously with the way the last year has been, it's been absolutely insane. But I know you were talking that you got some Soul Motor stuff going on. Yeah?
Yeah, I've been working on that. I've been coming back and forth to Sacramento and finishing that up. And I got about 24 songs done.
Nice.
So I think I'll put out a single every couple of weeks, a track every couple of weeks, and just kind of feed it out there like that.
I think everybody, again, everyone has their perception of what a rock star is or what a celebrity is. And, Brian, I know you don't think of yourself that way by any stretch, but your fans definitely do. When your fans get around you, I know that they are completely awestruck. But I've heard some really, really cool stories about you personally, and everybody, you got to dive into the book, but I just got to share a couple of things with you. For everyone that pays attention to Rock Titan Live, our photojournalist out with Ambler Irby, back in the day, you guys, Tesla, was on tour with Poison, and she had her 4-year-old son with her, and they somehow were side stage. And he waved at you, got your attention, and you were nice enough to go over there. You hung out with them. You took pictures with them. I mean, they just said that you were just the nicest, most down-to-earth guy, which, that's the kind of thing you want out of, like, role models. I know that, maybe you don't want to be considered a role model. Maybe you do. Some, people, and, whether they're musicians or athletes or actors, actresses, they don't necessarily want to be associated with that of a role model. They don't want that responsibility. But nonetheless, when people are looking up to you because of the position that you're in, I mean, that just kind of goes with the territory. I thought that was really, really neat. That just someone so close to me had that story. And then everybody, you got to get Son of a Milkman. But this really touching story that you had in there about your relationship with Ronnie Montrose, I thought it was so cool that, at one point in time, because of, a little break that he gave you guys, you owe me a flat screen TV.
Yeah. Well, he didn't tell us. He told other people, and they would tell us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And so one day I called up Frank and I said, hey, look, Ronnie's playing down here in Manteca. I'm going to go buy this TV, okay, with the band's credit card. You cool with it? And he said, yeah. And I called Jeff, and we knew Trey was cool with it. So I went and bought him like a 72-inch flat screen TV and drove it to the gig he was playing. So I pulled up backstage, and there was, 3 or 4 bands on the bill. And he's like, wait, what are you doing here? And I said, hey, Ronnie, come here. I got something I want to show you. It's like, what? So I opened up the back of this car, and there's this 70-inch screen TV in this box. And I said, I know it's late, but here you go, man. Enjoy this. And he started crying.
Dude, that's pretty awesome.
And
That's
I was
awesome.
like taken back because I didn't expect him to start crying. And, when I was a kid and I worked with him, I didn't like him.
Yeah.
It's
Everybody
funny.
got to read
I
about it.
didn't
Yeah,
like
he's a ball breaker. He's tough love.
Well, he wasn't a ball breaker. He was more focused on Frank
Business.
and Jeff.
Yeah, right,
And I was the weak kid in the band
right.
and the fat kid. And, I wouldn't say he was mean to me. He just didn't have much time.
Okay.
Right. So you hang on to these things, as you get older. And then I never much, talked about him or to him or anything. And then one day I was at a Def Leppard show and he was backstage. And this is maybe 2004,
Okay.
2003, 4. And he was there and, he started talking to me. He was really nice. I'm like, whoa, this is Ronnie? And this was after he had cancer because he had gotten prostate cancer.
Right.
And so we exchanged numbers. And then we just started kind of calling each other, and then we developed this kind of friendship. So I'm really glad that in the end we were pretty good friends. And, I talked to him about a week before he died.
Wow.
He committed suicide.
Yep.
He too committed suicide from depression and anxiety and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I was glad that relationship had come around the other way. And, he was great. He was a great guy. And, what can you say? Life's a trip, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just such a thoughtful thing for you to do. One of the things that you touch on in your book was the time that you were at the Trocadero and you guys actually filmed your show there.
Right.
And it's wild that, you've got memories there. That was the place where Rock Titan cut its teeth. That was the very first show I ever covered any rock bands, first time I ever interviewed anyone in the journalism space. So the Trocadero is my home for that, and sadly, it is no more.
Yeah.
Trocadero is gone. But one of the things, again, in your book, you cover such a wide range of things that no one, again, would have ever necessarily known. How would they know? But I thought it was wild the way you talk about Love Song, biggest, hit maybe, no, I mean, it's probably the biggest song by Tesla. And it's the one song, and I'm not going to, everybody, you got to go read it. I'm not going to tell you everything about it, but it was probably one of the hardest songs you had to get out there. I mean, you guys really had to work hard to get that song out there. And I mean,
our managers and record company didn't want to put it on the record.
That's crazy.
They said it was 3 songs, 3 parts, not a song. So we fought with them. The hard songs on that album, ironically enough, to get on that album were Love Song and Paradise. Paradise, I had to fight with the band to get in. And then Love Song, the band had to fight with the record company and management to get in. And they're 2 of the classic Tesla tracks.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean I love the video. I don't even know how many times I've watched that video. And everybody, don't give me the fanboy crap, okay? I don't want to hear it. I mean, I am talking with Brian. We have Tesla here, if you guys didn't know. So spare me the fanboy stuff. I'm not going fanboy. I'm just simply giving my opinion. All right, I'm just sharing some of my own stories here. But the thing that got me in the official music video for Love Song, man, that really turned me on to Frank's guitar playing. I mean, wow. I mean, his guitar solo is epic. I mean, he just rocks that out on his double neck Gibson. Oh
Yeah,
my.
that's one of the most perfect guitar solos I think there is.
Oh man, it is sweet. And you know, again, all Tesla fans, they know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just one of those things that just sends electricity up your spine. I mean, it really is. It does.
Yeah.
But and it's fun. All right, so you were talking a little while ago that you weren't necessarily looking to do anything new, with Tesla, as far as new music, and you had a lot of different thoughts about Mechanical Resonance, your first album that you put out there. One thing that might be really, really cool for you guys to do, and I like to plant seeds. Everybody that watches Rock Titan Live, they know I like to plant seeds with all you guys when I talk to you. A little nugget that maybe you move on with. But if you guys, like, literally retrack the whole thing, start to finish, because you guys are all, well, minus one guitarist, but I mean, it's amazing how you and Jeff and Frank, you guys have been together like all these years. It would be cool to do something like that, and I think it would go over well just because George Lynch,
Well,
he did
it's
it.
funny because all our masters got burnt in that fire in L.A.
Oh,
So if they ever want a master of that record, we have to re-record it.
well, there you go. There you go. That's a good reason to do it. But I mean, like George Lynch with Lynch Mob, like kind of his swan song for Lynch Mob, since Lynch Mob's no more, he did Wicked Sensation Reimagined. And it was awesome. I mean, honestly, I might have liked it better than the original. So it's just something to think about with Mechanical Resonance. I think, that'd be cool, man. That'd be a cool thing to do.
You never know.
I know. All right. So before I let you go, awesome book. And again, everybody, we're here with Brian Wheat and the book, Son of a Milkman, My Crazy Life with Tesla, co-written by Chris Epting, a very tremendous individual. But one of the things that evidently I missed was that you are also a passionate artist. And like your friend Rick Allen in Def Leppard, who has his art featured at Wentworth Art Galleries, so do you.
Yeah.
How long have you been painting?
3 years.
Really? Okay.
So what it is I've been going around taking photographs all these years. So we were on this Monsters of Rock cruise.
Yeah.
And Rick was on there doing a painting thing. So I met with the guy that owned Wentworth Galleries, Christian O'Mahony.
Yeah.
And I said, look at these pictures. Do you think maybe we could do a showing next year on the boat? And he went, well, I don't do pictures. I do art. I said, oh, okay. I understand, All right, cool. Thank you. He said, but they're really good pictures, Brian. I said, well, okay, thank you. So the next day I saw him on this boat at Starbucks or whatever. He said, hey, Brian, can I talk to you for a second? I said, yeah, sure, buddy. He said, I thought about what you said. He said, what do you think about painting on your pictures? And I went, nah, not really much. I'm not a painter. And he said, well, sure you are. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, well, how about you send me some of your pictures and I'll put them on different formats, canvas, metal, photo paper, and you just paint on parts of the pictures, like enhance it, and I knew about that, right? And I said, okay, I'll try that. So canvas was what I gravitated towards, and acrylics because they're more forgiving,
right?
And I started painting on my pictures that I'd taken on canvas, and it's half picture, half painting. But I'm painting over, like, if I shot two swans on a lake, there's the perfect, composition. And I'm enhancing the water and the swans, and it looks like this 3D thing that happens, right? Like, woo, whoa. And that's how I got into it. And I've been a Wentworth artist now for 2 years.
That is so cool because, yeah, I mean, God rest Frank Benali. We got to catch up with him not too long before he lost his battle with cancer, but he did amazing artwork with Wentworth Art Galleries, and we got a chance to talk to him about it. But I mean, the company you're in, Mickey Hart from Grateful Dead, and you had Rick Ocasek, God rest him as well. Holy moly,
Paul Stanley, Peter Max.
Yeah, Peter Max. Oh my gosh, yeah. So I mean, you got some pretty awesome company there, and I mean, I don't know how I hadn't heard about it. Maybe it's because you're out there on the West Coast. I'm out east. I don't remember your work.
I'm gonna have to get on Christian and ask him how come you didn't know about it.
Yeah, well, I have you had an exhibit at the King of Prussia Mall?
No, I've done one in Hollywood, Florida, one in Atlantic City, and one in Short Hills Mall in New Jersey.
Okay, so man, I missed you at Atlantic City at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Are you going to be doing anything maybe in 2021?
Yeah, it's just Christian's galleries. A lot of them got closed because of COVID, so we're all at that.
Right.
Well, hey, buddy, I got to run.
All right, man. All right, well, everybody, again, yeah, no, it's all good, Brian. Thank you so much for your time. It has been awesome hanging out with you. And everybody, if you enjoyed this podcast with me and Brian Wheat as much as I know you did, please just give us a little love, subscribe, and everybody, we're going to be sharing some links here for, to get help, behavioral health-wise, suicide hotline, Yeah. So we definitely want to...
Don't be afraid to talk to someone.
Right? And we got to get some news out there and everything like that. But so I'm Scotty J. You're watching Rock Day Live. We're out.
Somebody, and everybody.